Today on Board & Coffee Expresso, we're talking Heir of Kingdoms Inquisition. Let's do this.
Get back here this instant!
Thank you. Oh, I love you too. I couldn't have done it without you. Thank you. Thank you.
Before we race into that magical fun part that is the Inquisition, let me tell you a little story. You see, way back in the day when BGC was just a wee baby, we made a video for this that looked like this.
Heir of Kingdoms is a 1 to 4 player strategic card drawing resource manager where players attempt to build a better kingdom than their rivals. I can't even assemble IKEA furniture, let alone a kingdom, but this game makes it easy.
But today isn't about that. It's about this. But there's been some additions to that since then, so let's touch base on those before we dive into this. Back when I first played Heir of Kingdoms, it was just the core game, as far as I can remember. But now the core game comes with a bunch of mini expansions that add things like this trade route board that lets you draft cards of your choosing rather than everything being so random. Then you got this commerce expansion that adds goods that you can use to trade in for the things you need. The ruler trade expansion gives player a unique little superpower and an objective that awards bonus points if completed. And this Conquest of Kings, I believe is what it's called. I gotta be honest, I haven't played it yet because, there's just a lot of stuff, man. I got things to do. Like play this. Speaking of which, that's exactly why we're here, so let's get to it. Now, keep in mind much of what you see are prototype components and don't reflect the final quality of the game. Heir of Kingdoms Inquisition is a full-fledged expansion, not one of those mini ones I told you about. I mean, you still need the core game to play this one, but Inquisition adds so much more. Primarily, it adds the idea of using scientific research to improve society and introduces religion to an otherwise heathenish group of backwater villagers. Allow me to explain. This is the Heir of Kingdoms core game with the addition of the Trade Route mini expansion, which personally I think you should always play with, but hey, that's just me. When I said Inquisition introduces science into the mix, this is what I meant. These tracks represent 4 different schools of study, and the more research you put into these tracks, the more you get out. For example, commit your research to the production track and build yourself a heavy plow, which will earn you 2 additional resources of any one type that you can use each turn. Double down on the government and assemble a great council that gets you 1 extra seat at the table, which I assume looks something like this. I never actually got that far up the track, but yeah, that looks about right. Or maybe architecture's your thing. If so, these catacombs will increase your hand size by 1. Or maybe you're the aggressive type, in which case developing your military might be the way to go. And that's not all. Many of the steps along this track are powerful one-time use abilities that you can save to use later, activating them when you need them most. If you're familiar with the original game and were wondering where the hell these research tokens came from, well, there's a whack of new cards that'll get them for you. Or you can just spend an action to obtain them that way. Speaking of which, Inquisition has also bumped up the number of actions you get per turn from 3 to 4, which makes a big difference. And then there's faith tokens. I know what you're thinking, what does faith have to do with science? Answer, nothing at all. Let's go to church. The other big addition that Inquisition brings to the table is the idea of religion and manipulating it to suit your needs, unlike reality. You see, as you earn faith tokens, you can store them here, like a holy savings account. And when you've saved up enough faith, 6 to be exact, you can use them to establish a belief system. Let us pray. Players will have the choice of 3 belief systems whose secrets are tucked away in little envelopes mounted on these religion rockets. Actually, now that I think about it, they're probably just steeples. Yeah, definitely steeples. That makes so much more sense. When you start a belief system, you get an envelope of powerful cards that do different things depending on the belief system you've established. Pax follows peaceful, protective beliefs and helps prevent negative effects as well as generate more faith. Victorum centers around might and conquest to bolster your military might. And my personal favorite, Dolus, whose belief system focuses on cunning and trickery to, it's to screw over other players. But here's the thing, when you start a belief system, you can't change your mind midway, you gotta commit to your faith. And just so you know, each of those belief systems has 3 envelopes associated with it. And each subsequent envelope offers more and more powerful cards to add to your hand. Oh, and I almost forgot these guys. These are your followers. And each follower you have at the end of the game will earn you 1 additional point. And as the case with this sort of thing, whenever you have believers, you're bound to find non-believers, aka heretics. And these a-holes will subtract 1 point each at the end of the game, earning them the title of the world's oldest party poopers in recorded history. And that's it for Heir of Kingdoms Inquisition. If this sounds like a game you'd be interested in, check them out on Kickstarter.
Thanks for joining us. If you like this video and you want to see more, subscribe to our channel. It's the best way to keep up to date with everything we do here at Board Game Coffee. But if you want to see more right now, we got plenty of videos to choose from. And if that's not enough, follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. I'm Mark Maya, and this is Board Game Coffee. And remember, have fun, keep gaming, be social. See you next week.